Namaste everyone. My name is Vaishali Shah. I welcome each one of you to our session on Hindu culture and lifestyle. You're watching me live on our Facebook page, hinduscriptures.com. As promised, today we have a very prominent speaker who's a Vaishnava Acharya. And if you look at his number of degrees, you would be surprised that someone having these many degrees would be sitting in Silicon Valley or in New York, earning thousands of dollars, but he is in Vrindavan and spreading the knowledge of Vedic scriptures. So, Acharya ji, namaste. Namaste.
Namaste, Vaishali.
Babaji, before we start, I always start the session with a prayer. So, I would like to request you to do a small prayer. And after that, I'll share your introduction with our audience.
Yes, sure. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvatam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna to each one of you. Uh, Dr. Satyanarayan Dasa ji is very learned uh, speaker today who has a PhD degree and is a Vaishnav scholar and practitioner. Dr. Dasa holds 5 postgraduate degrees ranging from a doctorate degree, a master degree in Sanskrit, a law degree, and a master's and undergraduate degree in engineering from the prestigious IIT Delhi. He is the author of 15 books related to Indian culture and philosophy, some of which have been translated into multiple languages. Dr. Dasa has published articles in the Journal of Hindu Studies as well as the Journal of Vaishnava Studies. He is a contributing author to 2 books, Krishna and Free Will, Agency and Selfhood in Indian Philosophy, both published by Oxford University Press. He has also contributed to a 26-volume series published by the Indian Council of Philosophical Research, a government of India undertaking. He has over 1,000 lectures on YouTube. He is the founder of the Jiva Institute of Vedic Studies to promote Vedic culture, philosophy, and Ayurveda through education. He has initiated a program for preservation, translation, and publication of ancient Indian works of science and wisdom and serves as a visiting professor of the state at the State University of New Jersey, Rutgers, and American Hindu University. He lives in Vrindavan, India, where he teaches on Vedic scriptures and their practical application to students who attend his classes from all corners of the globe. In 2013, he was honored by the President of India, Pranab Mukherjee ji, for his extraordinary contribution in presenting Vedic culture and philosophy to students and audiences within India and internationally. Namaste, Babaji. Thank
Namaste.
you so much for accepting our invitation. So before we move on to our main topic, I would like to know something about your past. You know how you started because you've studied, this side of the world before Vedic scriptures. You have studied another, regular subjects. So how did you switch from there to here? Please share your journey with us.
Well, as you know that I did my graduation and post graduation from IIT Delhi, and after that I went to America. As you know, most people from IIT go there to work. So I worked in Miami, Florida. And when I was in US, I understood that people there were not really happy, although while living in India, and this is much long ago, it is not at present, there were not too many people living in America at that time from India. I went there in 79 January. So I understood that they have a problem. They look very nice externally, but internally they had stress, anxiety, broken families, and I didn't find much love between the members of a family, husband, wife, etc. And this made me think about my own Indian Sanskriti, and I became very interested that I want to, know it. And that's how a twist came in my life, and I started searching. There were not too many organizations at that time in America, so I actually joined ISKCON in 1981 in Detroit. I was working in Detroit, Michigan at that time. And then I came back to India in 83 because I wanted to study deeply our own Shastra. So in ISKCON, I learned certain things, but it was limited. And I wanted to really learn Sanskrit and I want to learn the Shad Darshanas. So I came to India, I came to Vrindavan, and I found my guru and I studied for almost 25 years. Along with that, I also joined a program here to do masters in Sanskrit and also then do my PhD in Sanskrit. So this is how a change came in my life because I really wanted to know the value of our culture, our Sanskriti, and then teach it to others because going to what is considered as ultimate in material life, I understood that it doesn't give satisfaction, and this is really not the goal of life.
That's very interesting, Swamiji. But the identifying problem is one thing, and giving solution thing is another thing. So, where did you find the solution for them? Of course, our scriptures have all sort of solution, but sometimes you really need to narrate in the language they understand. So, how did you find that connect?
So when I started studying Shastra from my guru, whose name is His Holiness Sri Haridas Shastri Maharaj, he is no more here. He
Hmm.
was a very great scholar. He had 9 Shastri degrees, which is a rare achievement. He had studied in Banaras for about 12, 13 years. And he was living, very isolated life, not so much into public, but highly learned and realized person. So it is sitting at his feet that I understood what is actually the problem, truly speaking, and its solution. And then I understood the greatness of our own Sanskriti, that we actually have solution to all the problems of the world. Unfortunately, we Indians, whether we live here in India or we live in the West, most of us are not paying attention to it, and we are running after the modern lifestyle, which looks very appealing. It is in Sanskrit, it is called apataramaniya, means very attractive. But when you go inside, there is no depth, and ultimately the problem comes. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna summarizes this just in one sloka. Yehi sansparsja bhoga dukkhayone evate adyantavant konteya nateshu ramte buddha. He says that all these bhogas, the enjoyments which come with the contact of our sense with the corresponding sense object, they are the very source of suffering. They have a beginning and end, and those who are Buddha, those who are wise people, they do not take stock in them. So this is actually what is happening at present. I mean, people are just running after this apatramani and bhogas, and they are suffering because of that. And it's not just one or two people, but the whole humanity is suffering, and it is bringing degradation to our nature, the environment, and the society as a whole.
But then this, what you are saying is everybody knows, but nobody wants to implement, isn't it? We, especially Indians, we have all the background, we have all the knowledge about scriptures. We have seen our parents, grandparents living a different life, but we are still running after what is being given to us in this, world right now, in this materialistic world. Similarly, in the Western world, they do understand, many of them, but they cannot get rid of this red race. So, to get rid of this red race, what is the solution?
So we have to practice that, because simply knowing, just like if I have fever and I know, and even I may know what is the medication for it to get rid of it, but if I don't take it, the fever is not going to go away. So
Right.
many of us, we know, here in Vrindavan, if you even take a rickshaw, on the street, he can give you a lecture, but he's not putting it into his own life. It's just what we call as lip service. So we have to practice it, and then you will have a realization of it, an experience of it, and you will understand its beauty, its serenity, its depth, its greatness. So that's what is missing.
I understand, but then whatever research is happening currently in all these areas, my concern is that how we will be able to translate that into people's life, because I can see, even I have been doing it, and I have failed. I feel I have failed miserably in connecting with people and making use of the knowledge and the discoveries which I have done for my own self. So now, for example, our today's topic is Sanskrit and English dictionary. So why did you think about going that way? Because academia is very strong. The modern science is not ready to acknowledge the Vedic science, the way we call it as Vedic science, the scriptures. They have twisted our scriptures and manipulated it and put it in a different format. So, what is the need of having Sanskrit in this English dictionary? Now, I would like you to describe this in a little bit more length so that people understand the importance of Sanskrit, at the same time, how and why Sanskrit actually should be into English dictionary.
So of course, the this project I did together with Rajiv ji, and originally the idea came from him.
Hmm.
That when I met him, uh, so I was impressed what he was doing, and our thoughts matched. So originally we had only planned to do some videos
Hmm.
that we will speak about certain words, which he has already done in his book called Being Different. He has a whole
Right.
chapter in that. So this is how we began. We started recording, and he asked me to select certain words. So I gave list of 54 words. Our idea is that we'll make one video for 1 week for 1 year program. And then while doing the recording, then we came up with the idea of having the book so that it goes along with it, because people will watch the video and then forget it. But book is something which is physical, and you keep it with you, you read it, and you can refer to it whenever you like to. So that's how the book came about. Now the importance of it. So you see, our actions, every we human beings, we have desires, and we work to fulfill our desires. Everybody is working to fulfill their desires. But our desires originate from our knowledge. The amount of knowledge we have, the type of knowledge we have, then correspondingly we have our desires, and then we take action to fulfill them. So if our knowledge is corrupt, our desires will also be corrupt, and then our actions will be correspondingly corrupt, and then result will also be corrupt. So problem with translating Sanskrit words into English is that once they are translated, then they lose their original sense. Sometimes the complete sense is not conveyed. Sometimes the sense is completely deformed. It doesn't even say what the original word is saying. And sometimes it may even say something which is opposite to what the original word is about. And then when you have that kind of knowledge based on translation, then you don't understand what, for example, Bhagavad Gita is talking about. or what the Upanishads are talking about, what Mahabharata is talking about. So that is one thing. And of course, there have been a deliberate program also to mistranslate it and create confusion and misconception about these books and talk about human rights and oppression of the people and, you know, oppression of women, etc. Whether it is there in the original book or not, that is a different issue that we have to understand. Whether these sages really had that intention, whether Krishna really had that intention that a particular class of people should be oppressed by another class of people. But this is how it has been interpreted at present, and this is because of not understanding the real sense of the original terminology. I'll just give you one example, and that will make things probably a little clear. That, very common word Atma. Everybody has heard about it. Also, a very common translation of the word Atma is soul. Everybody knows that. But actually, Atma and its translation soul is very misleading. First of all, soul, as it is understood from Christianity, is something which is created by God, and you have one life, and after that you go to heaven or hell according to the, judgment on the day of judgment. And then Atma is not in plant life, in animal life. It is only in human beings. In fact, they even did not accept that women had Atma or soul. I mean, saying Atma, but soul.
Hmm.
Now they have begun to accept that women also have soul because the women revolted against it. And that's why they burned so many women on the stake, because women did not have a soul. So, what is the problem if you burn them? So, this is obviously a very misleading translation of the word Atma. Atma, as it is described in Bhagavad Gita, na jayate mriyate va kadachan, nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya, ajo nityo shashvatayam purana, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It is never born, it is never destroyed, it does not get deformed, it cannot be killed, it cannot kill anyone else. These are the basic characteristic of Atma. And the word Atma does not have only this meaning, it has other meanings. There's a very interesting verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam, na Atmanam avsadeyet, Atmaiv hi Atmano Bandhu, Atmairi Puratmana. So many times he's using the word Atma, and of course, they're in different cases because in Sanskrit, the nouns they change their form because there are no prepositions in Sanskrit. So it just takes another form. But here Krishna says that Uddharet Atmana Atmanam, that one should uplift one's Atma by Atma. If I just keep the word Atma, and then it says that Na Atmanam Avsadiyet, one should not degrade Atma. Atma hi Atmana Bandhu, Atma iri Puratmani. Atma is friend of Atma and Atma is an enemy of Atma. So now if you translate this Atma as soul, you will understand nothing from this sloka. It looks like that one should not degrade one's soul with soul. One should uplift the soul with soul. Soul is an enemy of soul. Soul is also a friend of the soul. It, it doesn't make any sense. I mean,
True.
to be an enemy or friend, they have to be two. You cannot be just your own enemy or your own friend. Soul cannot be an enemy of soul itself. So here the word Atma has different meaning in the same sloka. Once it means self, and other time it means mind. So what Krishna is saying, that one should not degrade oneself through one's mind. Rather, one should uplift oneself through one's mind. And he says, mind is a friend of oneself and mind is an enemy of oneself. And then in the next sloka, he explains who is friend and who is an enemy. So if your mind is under your control, then it is your friend. If it is not under your control, it's your enemy. We search for enemies here and there, and we know that everybody talks about somebody as their enemy or somebody whom they don't like or hate. But actually, the real problem is lying in our own mind. If you have control over your own mind, then your whole world is open to you as a friend and everything is nice. And when your mind is messed up, then everything is messed up outside, because you see the world through your mind. Like you see something, if you put on glasses on your eyes, then you see everything through the glasses. And if they're tinted, say, brownish color, then everything will look like that. So we see the world through our mind, through the glasses of our mind. If my mind is in rajas, then everything will look like that. If it is in tamas, it will look like that. If it is in sattva, then I can see things as they are. So that's why we have chosen to make this book Sanskrit non-translatables, that these words cannot be translated. First of all, by translation, you change the meaning. As I explained, the soul and Atma actually don't have much in common. They are opposite in their characteristic. Atma is not created, soul is created by God. And soul is Atma is transmigrating. It is separate from the body. They bury the body, and this body is going to be revived, and this is the body you will have in heaven or wherever. We don't think like that. That's why we burn the body. And we accept that life is everywhere. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavar jangamam kshetra kshetra sanyogat tadvidhi bhartarshaka. Krishna is so clearly saying that wherever you see life happening, whether it is trees, plant, creepers, aquatics, animals, everywhere he says that it is a combination of Atma and body with the mind inside. So we see life at three levels: at the physical level, at the psychic level, and then at the spiritual level. And this is how we understand everything. Even Ayurveda, when it treats somebody, it understands the person at these three levels. So this makes a big difference. But what science is doing or modern society is doing, they are limiting themselves primarily to the physical level, and little bit they may go up to the mental level. These days, when they are doing a lot of research in neuroscience, neurobiology, that is also physical. They are not going beyond that, because they're studying the brain, which is a physical part. It is not manas. We translate manas as mind, then problem comes. Manas is actually different.
What is the difference between manas and mind?
Mind modern psychology has a problem in defining the mind. They can't really define, but manas is a part of our sukshma sharira, and it is situated in the heart region. Brain is its what you call as machinery or equipment. In Sanskrit we call as golaka. Just like we have one sense of seeing, but we have two eyes to see. So these eyes are the instruments, golakas, for the sense of seeing, which is part of Sukshma Sharira. So in this body, when what you call as the senses, they are really not the senses, but they're instruments. That's why they are called Karanendriya. Karana means instrument. The sense is inside. Like when you sleep at night, you are dreaming. Your eyes are closed, but you are seeing things. How do you see? You can smell, you even talk, because the senses are inside and they are functioning at the level of the manas. So that's part of the sukshma sharira. And then beyond that is the atma. So if we understand this, then we'll understand, now there's in the US this big movement going on, Black Life Matters. So then you'll understand that black people, white people, brown people, any people at the level of Atma, they are same. So why are we discriminating? Why we think that they are like this? The black person also has got the same characteristic. The Atma has the same characteristic of a black person as a white person. There is absolutely no difference. The difference may be in the physical physical level. We are all unique. Even a one white person is different from another white person. But at the Atma level, we have similar characteristics which are defined in Bhagavad Gita second chapter. So if we understand this, then this kind of discrimination, exploitation, this will go away.
Okay.
So this is the value of this knowledge. You know the famous story of sage Astavakra, King Janaka, who was a very highly learned person, and he used to have many debates, invite many pandits, scholars in his kingdom, I mean in his assembly house. So his father, Ashtavakra's father, was also one great scholar. And one day he was late for lunch. So Ashtavakra, as a boy, he sent him that you go and call your father. So he went there. Astavakra, as the name signifies, he was bent in 8 places. He was really ugly to look at.
Hmm.
There's a story for that also, why he became like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So when he entered there, everybody laughed. So then Astavakra, he also laughed. And everybody was surprised, including King Janaka, because when somebody is handicapped and you laugh at him, he feels very, inhibited and inferior. But Ashtavakra was beyond bodily level of, so he laughed more than them. And King Janaka said, "Well, I understand why these guys are laughing. Why are you laughing?" So he says, "I'm laughing at you. That why have you got all these cobblers here? I thought this was an assembly of scholars." He says, "That's why I'm laughing." So Janaka was shocked. He says, why do you call them cobblers? They are big scholars, pandits. He says, what kind of pandits they are? They are only seeing my skin and they are laughing. And it is a cobbler who feels happy by seeing the skin
Right.
because he works with the
Skin. Yeah,
skin of animals.
true.
I'm not this body. So Janaka, he accepted Astavakra, and there's a famous book called Astavakra Gita.
Gita, right.
So this is knowledge. And this knowledge is available in our Shastra, in our scriptures, and this has to be understood in the language in which it is written. I mean, you can translate, and even I'm translating it because not everybody is going to learn Sanskrit, but still, we should not forget that this knowledge has to be understood in its true sense through the language in which it is written, because it has so much variety, so much depth. And I'm telling this from my own personal experience because I have come from the other side.
Right.
When I was in IIT, I never heard about Kanad, Kapila, Patanjali, Panini. I never heard these names. Unfortunately, we were never taught anything about this, which is very important to teach in the school. I mean, it's beneficial. We all eat food, but if we are given basic knowledge of Ayurveda, what is good for me to eat and what is not good for me, it will help me. I will avoid so many diseases. I have lived in America. Most people they are sick because of eating wrong food. They
Yes, true.
eat they eat wrong type of food, eating at wrong time. You can eat yogurt in daytime, eat yogurt at night. It is not recommended by Ayurveda. It creates ama in the body.
So then, how many Sanskrit words have you planned to inject, and who you have approached, and is it finalized, or it is still making you're still making the list?
No, this is
Because I'm
just
very keen to know the words which are required to be there as it is.
so this is our first step,
Hmm.
and this is a beginning, and we want people to take interest. And it's not that it is I have to do it on only Rajiv, but we all have to participate in it because this is also to protect our own heritage, which is on attack.
Very much.
You know this very well.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have not made any such list that we want only these, but we have selected at least these 54 words which are related, with different, like some are related with Ras Shastra, Kavya, poetics, some are related with the philosophical part, some are related with Ayurveda, so that some of these words can be brought into our daily usage at least we Indians can start using it, or at least we understand the importance of the original word and the difference of that word from the way it is translated. So I have tried to explain this in the book in detail. Why it is not translatable? I've given the logic.
So, like for example, we say Navdha Bhakti, then there is three modes of nature. The way it's described in Bhagavad Gita, written
You
by.
see, now just to say, now when you
Yeah.
say modes, you are
Sorry.
translating the word guna as modes, three modes. It's actually three gunas.
Three gunas. Yes, yes. No,
So,
no. This is what is there. So now, what better word is there for it?
you have to
We
use the
just have
word
to say
guna.
three gunas.
Yeah, you have to use the word guna because modes is a wrong translation.
Yes, that is the reason I'm asking you. There are many words which I've come across. For
Yes,
example, you have already given an example of Atma. I knew that very well. These three gunas, I was wondering how can you convert that into three modes of nature.
yes,
Then there is something called Shushupta Avastha. We have various stages of mind, manas,
right.
which we call it mind, as in because there is no better word for manas. So
Yes,
manas. So then there are different avasthas. Then there are different stages of atma from transmigrating from one place to another body, one body to another one. So in between whatever is described in Garud Puran, how do you describe those things? I mean, I cannot even think of translating them into English.
yeah.
That
So,
it,
so we have to, you see, to translate first you have to know the meaning in the original word. What is being conveyed?
yeah.
That the meaning also changes with context. As I gave the example of Atma. Atma can mean body, it can mean mind, it can mean intellect, it can mean this inner self, what we call the innermost self. It can also mean Paramatma.
Yeah. English में तो consciousness, that is the closest word they can
Yeah,
come.
but you see, consciousness also in the West, they think it is a material thing.
It is material thing, yes. It's
So
not immaterial.
you see, immediately the problem comes.
Right.
Atma can also mean the object of love. Like we
Yes.
say, "Aap to meri atma hai."
जी
When
जी
you love
जी, that
somebody.
is in Hindi, that is how we can define it as. But ये तो literal वो कहते हैं ना, it's like a
So therefore,
literature का word हो गया फिर.
no, no, what I'm saying is your question was how to translate. So you have to see how the word has been used there. You see, in Sanskrit, there are two types, two ways the meaning is given. One is called Vyatpatti Nimitta, other
Hmm.
is called Pravritti Nimitta.
Right.
So one is the etymological meaning, like Atma. Etymological meaning is it comes from the root at satatya gamne, and then the manin pratyaya suffix applied on that. So that is a derivational meaning.
Hmm.
And there is what is called as pravritti nimitta,
Hmm.
mean what is causing you to use this word in what sense.
True.
So that has to be understood. And once you understand that, then you have to see what is the most appropriate word in English for that.
Sure. So, do
That's
you what is the shortcoming of English language? Do you see, especially when we have to describe our philosophy in English? Because now everyone wants to learn everything in English, so it's
yes.
a very big challenge. So,
That's
what is the shortcoming? Let's understand in a nutshell. I would like to you to tell me these are the problems. In one, two, three, four in English language, and that is the reason we cannot do it, and we should not
so,
do it.
so shortcoming is, or you see, every language has a purpose.
True.
So it is used to convey your ideas to another person. Bhashyate aneneti bhasha. That by which I convey my idea to you, then that is the medium of language. So the thought process, the thinking which happened in this part of the planet, what we call as Bharatvarsha, it has a different way of thinking. And that was not there who developed the English language, whoever developed it. I don't know the history, how it came about. So obviously they did not have the need for it. The concepts, the ideas, the principles. which we have in our Shastra, those concepts you don't find anywhere. Although people become upset if you say like that. It is a different thinking process. So there is a limitation. As you know, like we talk that creation comes by combination of Prakriti and Purusha. So what is Prakriti? What is Purusha? That concept is not there.
Yeah, yeah. There are so many things. Not
So
forget this.
therefore, when you have to translate, then what you have to do is like I have my books, this
Hmm.
I have these big books translated from Sanskrit, and I have written elaborate commentaries on them,
Okay.
thick ones. So then I have glossary at the end, because this one word has got, it is a concept like Atma. It cannot be captured by one word in English.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And therefore, you have to explain it and put it in the glossary so that the reader will get at least some idea about it. So then, even if you have to translate it, what is the closest translation of it possible? Like I said, innermost self, let's say. And then you use that word once or twice, and afterwards you start using the Sanskrit only. So this is how you are going to bring them to Sanskrit. If you just start using the word Sanskrit, then person will have no idea. But now I have the glossary, and when I use it for the first time, I try to give the best possible translation.
Okay.
And then I start using the Sanskrit.
Okay. Makes sense. So, how many words have you got any Sanskrit words in English dictionary as of now? For example, guru, jungle, लेकिन फिर भी they are not exact.
Yeah,
You
they
know.
are not exact.
Yeah.
They're, like dharma, karma,
Hmm.
yoga. These are some of the words which are now becoming popular in English,
Hmm.
but they're also being misused. Like they're talking, he's a management guru, something like that.
Right.
Karma
Yeah,
is
by
just.
academia. Yeah, in short, by academia. I know a lot of people are misusing it in different ways. So then, if we have to understand the concept of language, as you know, that importance of Sanskrit, please, I want you to give me some comparative, ideas about English and Sanskrit. That how Sanskrit is, I mean, like maybe 100 steps superior. I know it, but I want you to tell our audience that how it is superior than any other language.
Okay, very interesting question. So first of all, Sanskrit, the very word means purified,
Yeah.
cultured, which means that anybody who would study Sanskrit properly, which means through Guru Shishya relationship, that person will become purified. That person's life will become purified. The mind will become purified. The person's life will become purified, cultured. That is the language itself. Then the letters of Sanskrit are called akshara, which means imperishable. Means these are eternal sounds. As in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aksharanam akaro asmi. While he is describing his vibhuti, his, you know, presence here in this material world, he says that among the aksharas, these letters, I am A. So this is the most basic sound, which is also the sound in the word, the famous Om or Pranava. So these letters in Sanskrit, they signify a basic vibration. And as you know, in science, Einstein, he said that matter and energy are interchangeable. E is equal to mc square. He gave the formula also for that. So energy is a vibration. It is a potency to do something. And that energy itself becomes matter. So at the base level, everything is sound. And these, so our sages, they have identified the basic vibrations, and those are in the form of these Varnamala. And Sanskrit is the language which is so scientifically arranged, unlike English, where the vowels and consonants are mixed together. Here we first have the Sanskrit swaras. Again, you translate it into vowel, it loses the meaning, but I have no other way of saying it. So there are vowels and then there are consonants. And then they are all arranged according to the place of pronunciation. So the consonants are arranged like kavarga, chavarga, tavarga, tavarga, pavarga. And each varga means group. Each group has got 5 letters, and there are 5 groups of this. And they start from the throat. Kavarga is guttural. Then you have chavarga, palatal. Then you have cerebral. Then you have dental. And then you have labials, papa, baba, ma. And then these 5 are further divided into hard and soft and nasal. So in Sanskrit, we have 5 nasal sounds. And then these groups, Kavarga, Chavarga, Tavarga, Tavarga, Pavarga, as I said, that they also are vibrations and they also represent matter. So they are also related, you know, from Sankhya, that we have 5 Gyanendriya, we have 5 Karmendriya, we have 5 Mahabhutas, we have 5 Tanmatras, and we have 5 Vishayas of the senses. So these are the 5 groups of 5 each, making 25. Therefore, we have 25 consonants. Then we have ya, ra, la, va, which are called antasthas in Sanskrit. And they refer to our inner being when you go to the psychic level, because this physical body, and then you have the psychic level. So then you have ahankara, manas, buddhi, chitta, 4 of them. Then you have 3 sibilants, ushma. So you have sha, sha, and sa. So this refers to kriya shakti, gyan shakti, ichha shakti, because these are energies. And then you have I is the first letter, ha is the last one. That makes aham. You know aham. So that is I. So here the Sanskrit alphabet itself, if you can understand that, just by that you can understand the whole game of this universe.
Very beautiful. Yeah.
Which language has this? Tell me. No other language. So this is a very scientifically placed language. I would not say constructed or made, because it is God given. That's why these letters are called Devanagari, and the language is called Deva Bhasha. It's a divine language. It's an eternal language. That's why the aksharas are eternal. Because energy, in science, we know that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So something which cannot be created and cannot be destroyed, that is eternal, right? That is what akshara is.
Yes, very true.
And those are the aksharas of Sanskrit. So this means this language is eternal. It is not
Wow.
it is not coming from some Indo-European language which they have constructed. It came from there. And if you ask them where is that language, nothing is said. But this is how we are supposed to believe now, and we should follow that. Otherwise, they will cut my head if I say that Sanskrit is an eternal language, because they cannot tolerate it.
Yes, there is another political aspect of our knowledge, which is because of which it is getting suppressed. But my idea and my efforts are always about letting the youth know the importance of lots and lots of things which are there. And to begin with, our daily lifestyle. That is the reason I have written that book, Hindu Culture and Lifestyle. For people like you, it could be very basic, but I have seen it that people around me, they don't even know that much
They
about our
don't,
culture.
they don't know, and you are doing a great service by writing such a book, because they need that introduction.
Yes, it's a basic because they don't know enough
If
festivals,
I'm
they don't even
writing,
celebrate.
writing this will go above everybody's head. They will follow. They will not even look at it. This is for
So
PhD students.
yes, very true, exactly. But then idea is that people like you, guide us, help us out, where we can channelize our energy, time, efforts, so that the world, the youth, and people of our age, not even youth, but little mature people, look into it, they practice it, because finally it's all about what we practice on a physical level, on a mental level. Knowing one thing is, and practicing is another thing. And that is the reason I all this whatever I'm doing, the website and the web series and the this interview series, is because I want people like you to acknowledge, to give that authority, or to give that, what do you call it, a stamp on the work which is being happening. Because
Pramanya. In Sanskrit, we call it pramanya.
Praman, yes, yes. I want that Praman Patra from you to tell us that whatever we are doing is something, meaningful for for my generation and for the younger generation. So Guruji, one more thing, because you have raised so many questions in my mind now after listening to you, but because of time constraint, I'll ask you something more specific. When we talk about English dictionary, a lot of people know that most of the words come from Latin and Greek, and now lots of Indian words are injected. So what
Right.
is the standing of English as a language when most of the words are borrowed?
Well, English is international language now. It is not just language of UK.
True.
So, so we cannot deny that. And it doesn't matter whether it has borrowed words from Spanish or Latin or
Right.
French. That doesn't matter. As,
Okay.
as long as our words can be also included without changing their meaning.
True.
That's what we want. And
Right.
that will happen. Why the words like guru and yoga and karma have entered into English dictionary?
True.
Because so many people start using them. And that's what they see when some word is being used, then they take it into the dictionary. So if we, at least Indians or who have our roots in India, we start utilizing these words in our writing, in our speech, we start discussing, and if we are talking to other people, we can tell them that actually this word is wrong and proper word is this. Then these words will start seeping into the dictionary.
So you explained one thing about karma. Of course, I have a fairly good understanding of that, but I still want to know that when we say that something went wrong with us, we say that it was my previous life's karma, or
Mhm.
something is right, then it is a punya of the previous lives.
Right.
But then where is that starting point? Because everything I cannot be having of the previous life. There has to be some action, some results of this life as well. So how do you, because this problem of this generation, they always want to pass the buck. They don't want to take the ownership of their mistakes or shortcomings. And
Yes.
that is the reason I want you to define it clearly, that when we say previous life, so what is in my this construct, what is my previous life's effect, what is my this life's effect, and what is there in my control to alter it. What is there, like for example, I'm not going to ask for, like, I want to change my gender or I want to increase my height, not that. But apart from that, what else can I change?
So this is of course a vast subject, but I will speak in brief.
Yeah.
Karma is perpetual. Karma is not something that karma is basically can be used in two ways. One is the word karma means an action.
Hmm.
Now karma is the way you are using it is in the sense of the outcome of the action.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's used in both ways. So every action is temporary, and it's anything which is temporary will also give temporary result.
Hmm.
It is recurring. So in that sense, it has no beginning, because you have to understand that Atma has no beginning. We are as old as Paramatma, as Ishwar, as Bhagwan, as God. He did not create us. We have been there. It's like time has no beginning. Atma has no beginning. So our mind can understand things which have cause and effect relationship, which means which are within the purview of time and space. But there are things which are beyond that, and they can also be understood and realized. But for that, you have to develop certain faculties. That's where the yoga comes into picture, whether it is bhakti yoga or ashtanga yoga or raja yoga. So, and you cannot logically deny that something like that is possible. You may say, well, I don't believe in it. But if you don't believe, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because your belief is not the ultimate reality. Your belief is also based on something.
True.
So, therefore, what happens is that we have, for example, we have this life and we are doing many actions. So, some of these actions bear result now in our own life. That is called drishta. And some things will not be, it is not possible to get the result of those things in this life. That is called adrishta, means
Hmm.
it will come in future, because my karma is not involved just with me. If it was involved with me only, like you put your finger on the fire, it will burn it, because it's involved only with you. But when you do something, when you make a statement to somebody which upsets that person, your karma is getting involved now with that person also. So our karmas are entangled with people. And if the result of my karma has to come, that person also has to be present. So that may not be possible in this life. And then it has to be seen when I die. We are not going to die simultaneously. I die, then another person dies, then that person has got his own complex karma. I have my own complex karma. So to arrange for that particular karma to become manifest between two of us, that platform has to be seen when it will happen. It can happen after 4 lives, 5 lives, 10 lives. It is difficult to say that. It is so complex. So, but then when I'm taking birth, when I took this birth, so I have a stock of karma. You can think that every human being has got a karma account. So whatever we are doing, it is getting added to that. Like you have an account in your bank, you make earning, you add to that. And some we are utilizing, but we are not utilizing everything. Like we make money, if we are good earner, we don't use all the money we make. Some we save. So like that, some karma gets saved. So when I take a birth, then out of that my total karma account, some karma is taken out, which will manifest in this life. So then it is decided that whether you're going to become male or female, or you're going to be born in America or in India, to which parents, what kind of hair you will have, what kind of eye color you will have, height, all this, and your lifespan, how much it will be. So that is decided by that particular part of karma. But that does not mean that it is completely fixed. So now we also do karma in this, which is called purushartha. So
Right.
our life is like it is running on two wheels of a bicycle. One is the karma, which I have done in the past, and one is the purushartha, which I am doing now. And the result, whichever result I am getting in this life, is a combination of these two. So if I want to change, then it depends what is the intensity of that karma. If that karma is very intense, it may be very difficult to change it, because I have to do a lot of purushartha and it may not be possible. Like, you can also change your gender now. So that gender with which you are born, that was an outcome of karma, but now with your purushartha, with your effort now, you can do something about it. But obviously, our actions, our endeavor, our capacity have limitations, so we cannot change everything. So when it is said that your fate is in your hands, like you might have heard this statement, and promotional talkers are very
Yeah.
saying it. So they are right, but they are not completely right, because it is not only in your hand. There is something which has already been done,
Yeah.
and
So
that is
nature
also
is definitely superior in lot of areas.
yeah, that is also influencing. The thing is that this influence is coming also from inside. Whenever you perform an action, it creates two types of changes. One, it also changes inside you. It brings a change in your chitta, because that's where it gets stored, and it is changing something externally. So that change which is happening inside you brings a change in your thought process, and which means that it brings a effect on your action, because your actions depend on your thoughts, your desires, your feelings, and your emotions. And
Right.
your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and desires are not in your control 100%. unless you are an enlightened being, unless you are a yogi. You cannot tell me what thought will appear in your mind next second. We think that everything is in my control, but tell me what thought will come in your mind.
Yeah, we cannot say and we cannot predict.
So that means it is not completely in my control, but the thought is coming. And
Yes, it is
and
endless.
and everything has a cause. If a particular thought has come inside my head, it must have a cause, it must have a source somewhere. So that source is the chitta,
Hmm.
where you have the stock of your previous experiences, and that is influencing. So then the type of emotions you manifest, why a particular person reacts to a particular situation in a particular manner, that depends on what kind of chitta a person is having.
Right. So that means we have a lot in our hands to change in our lives, but we
Yes.
cannot expect a drastic change all of a sudden the way it is being promised by those so-called motivational
Yeah.
speakers, because they really promise something weird. I mean, I know many of them, I've heard them, and I wonder how can they promise such things and give such a wrong picture about life to their audience. I mean, when I'm talking to my audience, then they are my responsibility, but
Right.
they don't anyway.
Yeah,
So my
that's,
last
that's
yeah, sorry.
only one part of the reality, as I said.
Right.
They're
So
not completely wrong, they're not completely right, I would say.
okay, true, true. So my last question to you, Guruji, is that what message would you like to give to the youth? I mean, I'm very sure there are not many listening to us right now, because it is extremely difficult. But then maybe we can give this message to the parents, maybe those who are a little bit interested in knowing about things, and there are still many seekers who want to know how to make their lives better. So, what message can we give it to them? How to change themselves, their lives, and what all practically one needs to do to come back to a better, a better mental and physical and emotional state.
Yeah, so I'm saying that even if they don't believe in our Shastra, even if they don't have faith in it, I would say that try to understand it, because to bring any change, you have to bring a change in your understanding, in your knowledge. As I said, that our desires, our feelings, they emanate from our knowledge. And if I change my knowledge, my understanding, then my desires, my thought process changes and my actions change. So if I want to be something, if I want to be a peaceful person, for example, and I'm sure everybody would like that, I want to be a happy person, then you have to have a requisite understanding for that. You can't be just happy by doing anything and everything.
True.
So this is knowledge which brings that happiness, and it does not cost anything. People are running here and there, they are going to consultants, they're taking some medicines, going for some kind of treatment. So this doesn't cost anything, because the real happiness comes from inside. If I decide that I want to be happy, nobody can stop me. There is no power in this world which can stop me. I can be happy under any circumstances. I may feel pain, so that is different thing, but I can still remain peaceful inside, because that is under my control. That's what Krishna says, that mind is your enemy and mind is your friend. But now it is not our friend because it is not under our control. So there's a saying that mind is a bad master but good servant. So we have to decide whether we want mind to be our master, then it creates havoc, or you want it to be a good servant. It's a very good servant. So we make so many efforts, and people these days have, they want to do experiments. So why not experiment this? They want to go and explore, right? Young people have a habit of exploring things. So why you only want to explore what is being shown on the social media? Why not explore this also? Just, if you don't like it, give it up. No, there is no loss. As I said, it's not costing you so much. Maybe other exploring things you have to pay a lot of money. So please explore it. And if you like it, put it into your life and then tell to others. If you don't like it, no problem. Not much is lost.
Okay. I think it's a very good suggestion. At least let them explore. The way I coincidentally, because I don't have any background now, neither, I've gone to any Vedic schools, neither I've learned Sanskrit nor nothing. As in, I come from a business family. There is nobody in my family who's into this knowledge. There was no guru who pushed me. There was nobody around me who inspired me. So it was a kind of my own journey because I had so many questions. So similarly, I also tell others, and the way you have suggested is wonderful that once you explore, if you, I mean, one thing I really want to say, once we learn the scriptures, we'll forget science. The way it happened with me, that I then I realized that science is like a small tiny baby in front of humongous, the depth
Because
our scriptures
sci-
have got.
science itself says that 96% of the universe is dark energy about which they know nothing.
True,
You know about the 4%, about that 4%, maybe they know 0.4% what
true,
it is.
true, true, true.
But our scriptures, our Shastra, they're telling about that dark energy and what is even beyond that, which science cannot even imagine. Because the instruments which science is using are very limited.
Very true. Anyway, Guruji, thank you so much for your wonderful insight which you have shared with me and my audience. Though I still have many questions, but maybe I'll ask you when possible on the over the phone some other time. And thank you for joining with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Namaskar.
And if you visit India, Delhi side, you are most welcome to come to Vrindavan. I have an ashram here, an institute. I
Okay.
regularly teach here. I also have my website where I write articles. There are many articles available in the archive, books, audios, videos. So if you have any interest in them. But visit Vrindavan. Anyway, Vrindavan is Krishna's place.
Very true. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.